morning, students. Hope all are well, and we will go to the topic or class directly. And we studied up to page 17, and in page 17 you are able to study about liberals. In page 17 you are able to study about liberals, and in liberals you are able to see that you are able to see that in liberals the parallel to the group of revolting poor people, parallel to the unemployed people, you are able to find a workers' revolution, and the revolution of the educated middle class, revolution of the educated middle class, and in this revolution or in this revolting subjects, you are able to see that they are trying to make a all German National Assembly in the Church of St. Paul's building, in the Church of St. Paul's building, and in that Church of St. Paul's building they are trying to draft a constitution. In the Church of St. Paul's building they are trying to draft a constitution, and that constitution in which the monarch will be the head of the parliament. That is the situation that they are trying to draft. That is the situation that they are trying to draft, or a constitution for a German nation, in which monarch will be subject towards parliament, or the monarch will be coming under the direct control of the parliament. And when the meeting when the people who met in the Church of St. Paul, they offered crown to Frederick William IV, the King of Prussia. They said to the king, that respected king, or some other designation will be given to them, and the king will be, whether the king is ready to accept, the crown on the basis of, whether the king is ready to accept the crown on the basis of a written laws and procedure. Normally the king will not be interested to do so. And he rejected it. Monarch said that I am not interested to be under control of some other laws or rules which you are creating, because I am the king of this country. So monarch is not interested in it. Monarch is joining with to oppose the elected assembly. Elected assembly meaning the parliament which is created in the hall of St. Paul. That is the elected assembly. And while the opposition of the aristocracy and military became stronger, to whom, or the members who joined themselves as National Assembly in German National Assembly in the Church of St. Paul's building, the opposition and the aristocracy and military said that the aristocracy and military said that they are not interested to join with this meeting. So the social basis of the parliament or the society doesn't support this parliament. The society doesn't support this parliament. So the social basis of the parliament are eroded. The social basis of the parliament are eroded when the aristocracy and the military said that we are not interested to be with you people. We are not interested to be with you people. And in this church of St. Paul, or the meeting which was presided in the hall of the St. Paul, it was dominated by middle class. And somebody else asked that which is this middle class? This middle class is that same middle class which is on in your textbook. They earn wealth either through trade, they earn wealth either through trade related overseas trade, or they were the educated people. They were the educated people. They are not aristocrats. They are in the government offices. That is this middle class people, and they resisted the demands of workers and artisans. They said that we are not supporting the demands of workers. What does the worker demand at that point of time? That you must look into a brief way. What does the worker demand at that time? The worker demands in such a way that the worker demands in such a way that he wants more wages. He wants more wages. But this is not interested by a business class people, because if I am employing some workers under me, if the worker says that we want more wages, then my profit will be reduced. So that is the demand of the workers and artisans. And lunch, the troops were called in towards this assembly. Which assembly? The meeting which was held in the hall of the church of St. Paul. At last troops came in, and troops banned all these meetings in the hall of St. Paul. Troops banned all these meetings in the hall of the St. Paul. And in this meeting, we call it as this meeting, we call it as Frankfurt Parliament. And this meeting was done in 18 May 1848. This meeting was done in 18 May 1848. And how many elected representatives? 831 elected representatives. This meeting was held in 18 May 1848 and elected representatives. And this is convened on the Church of St. Paul, or in the hall of the Church of St. Paul. This meeting was convened. So you must remember about this Frankfurt Parliament while you look into this chapter. What is this Frankfurt Parliament, or what are the things which are included in this Frankfurt Parliament? And this meeting was presided by the middle class professionals, businessmen, prosperous artisans, etc. And they came into the city of Frankfurt, and they decided to form a all German National Assembly, that we call it as Frankfurt Parliament, Parliament. And so that is this Frankfurt Parliament. And in this Frankfurt Parliament, whether the political rights should be given to women, that is a controversial question. Whether the political right is given to women, that is a controversial question. We are speaking more about liberal movement. But we doesn't say that women must be getting a chance to vote. That is not interested by the men at that time who lived in 1848. We are speaking about the year 1848. When you speak about right to freedom right to vote for the female community in 1848, you will find it quite surprising. And when you speak that right to vote is not or right to vote is denied to women in 2020, you will find it surprising. That is the difference between the two time periods in history. So when you extend or when you are speaking about this extending the political rights to the women, it was a controversial question, and large number of women they have participated actively in all these problems. So women they still participate in all these problems, but they are not getting right to vote in this system. Women they are participating in these all programs, but they are not getting right to vote in this system. That you must remember it. That you must remember it. And the Society of Revolutionary and Republican Women that you have studied in class 9, or in the Society of Revolutionary and Republican women they form their own political association that you have studied in the lower classes. So political associations were also formed by women. Political associations is also formed by women. They had their own newspapers. They had took part in political meetings and demonstrations also. So political association which was started for the female community by themselves, and they are having political meetings. They are having political meetings in order to express their own viewpoints. But when the meeting was convened in the Church of St. Paul, women was not allowed to have their votes. They are admitted only as observers to stand in the gallery. They are only allowed to stand in the gallery when this meeting was held in the conference hall of the Church of St. Paul. And they doesn't get suffrage, or voting right was not given to them when they came in the meeting of the Church of St. Paul. Voting right was not given to them. That you must understand it. The year is, so you must remember, it is 1848. If you are speaking right to vote for in equal terms to male and female, you will find it quite surprising. So the year is 1848. 1848. So when the meeting was held in the Church of St. Paul building, women they were not allowed to be a part of the regular meeting. They are only allowed to stand at the visitors gallery. So that is what happened for the women in 1848 in Frankfurt Parliament. And next part, when you look into the next part, the revolutionary forces or the conservative forces, they are able to suppress the liberal movement in 1848. These conservative forces or the monarchical style of governments which came after the fall of Napoleon Bonaparte in France, they are able to have or put their force against. They are able to put their force against all types of freedom movements which happened in Europe at that time, but they are not able to restore the old social order. You must remember this old social order. In the old social order, the king will be kept at the topmost place. Then comes the priest. Above the king there will be one person called as priest, and just above the first comes God. So then come priest, then come king, then come the other ministries. Then or that is the hierarchical order. That is the old social order. This old social order cannot be kept or cannot be made by the old social order is not able to be made by the conservative forces. Still they created the Bourbon dynasty, or they created the Habsburg Empire. The old social order or system, society was not created. Old social order, if you look at the French context, first estate, second estate, third estate, first estate second estate were exempted from paying taxes. That only the third estate they paid taxes. That is by birth itself they are getting some weightage. This is the old social order. Aristocracy, landed aristocracy is getting dominance in the continent. Which continent? Europe. Landed aristocracy is getting dominance in the Europe. This is the old social order. This old social order was not able to be created. This old social order was not able to be created by the rulers who came after the fall of Napoleon Bonaparte. I think you got the meaning. Old social order. Old social order. And monarchs, they began to realize that, or they began to understand that when there is a cycle of repression, when there is a cycle of repression, it cannot be controlled for a longer time. It cannot be controlled for longer. It cannot be controlled for longer times. It cannot be controlled for a longer time. Or monarchs, they began to understand that you are not able to control the people for a longer time, because people, they understand new ideas and they will come to fight against, they will come to fight against, they will come to fight against monarch. So they began to understand that it is not possible to suppress them for a longer time. Instead of them, they began to grant concessions. Some concessions will be given to them. So on that basis, you must understand, only one concept in the European context, either it is Nazism and French Revolution. From year 1791 onwards, French government system was rearranged in such a way in which there are two groups of citizens: active citizens and passive citizens. And king from that point onwards will be controlled by the written rules and regulations which is prepared by the National Assembly. That is, some concessions will be given to them. That is the meaning of this. Some concessions will be given to them. Or the cycles of a revolution. The cycles of a revolution and repression is ended by the monarch by giving some sort of concessions to them. Still, they are not giving enough for freedom for them. After 1848, after 1848, the autocratic monarchies, they began to introduce some changes, and it has taken place in the Western Europe before 1815. Before 1815, some changes has been happened in the Western Europe, and this monarchical style of governments which was existing in the Central and Eastern Europe, they began to introduce some changes. And one of the changes is serfdom, and another one is bonded labor was abolished in Habsburg dominions of Russia. In the Russian part, which was under the control of the Habsburg dominions, the serfdom, bonded labor, everything was abolished. And Hungary was under the control of the Habsburg rulers. They were given more autonomy in 1867. They were given more autonomy or more freedom in 1857. So this part, the conservative rulers or the monarchical style of government which came after the fall of Napoleon began to understand that they are not able to go back to the old social order. Instead of them, they are only able to give some concessions towards liberals, and they are able to make them to rule them. And autocratic monarchies, they changed their system. They began to introduce some changes which has been made in the Western Europe before 1815. Before 1815, what is the changes which is made in the Western Europe? Napoleon made some changes. That is what the writer is pointing. There is Napoleon's Civil Code of 1804. Napoleon's Civil Code of 1804. Next is the making of two countries, making of Germany and Italy. And when you come to the new words, you want to study a new word, that is ideology. A system of ideas reflecting a particular social or a political vision. You will look at the word political vision. You are able to see political parties. They follow some definite predefined ideologies, predefined viewpoints, sorry, not ideology, viewpoints. We call them as a political ideology. And particular social in our society, we have a predefined structured system that is called as our ideology, that is called as the ideology. And when you come to this part, the revolutions, the making of Germany and Italy, we are trying to learn the making of two countries. We are trying to learn the making of two countries. The first country is Germany and the second is Italy. And after the year 1848, if you look at the movements which happened in Europe, this movement was associated with two types of viewpoints. These movements we call it as revolutions. In this chapter we call it as revolutions. These revolutions was assisted with the two types of movements. A tiny viewpoint is called as democracy, and another one is a revolution. And nationalists, or the monarchs who ruled the country, they began to think that if they are so strong enough, they are able to control the whole system. So making of Germany and Italy, you must remember about the year 1848. You must remember the concept nationalism in Europe. It was assisted with democracy. It was assisted with revolution. The nationalism in Europe, or the nationalist feelings in Europe, was connected towards democracy or some sort of revolution between haves and have-nots. The king or the conservatives, they began to promote state power. They began to achieve political domination by creating a nationalist sentiments. And if you look at the process of making of a German nation, if you look at the process of making a German nation, or process of making of Italy, you are able to find all these elements. Together. These two countries were not as unified states. States. In the middle class Germans, you are able to see a widespread nationalism. Or middle class Germans, they began to think that that why can't we also form a country in the name of a particular nation with a predefined boundary. Middle class Germans, they began to think in that way. And they, in 1848, they tried to unite different regions of German Confederation. German Confederation at that time consists of 39 states. German Confederation at that time just consists of 39 states. And the middle class Germans in 1848 began to think that Germans in 1848 began to think that The different regions which was under the control, the different regions in which the German language exists, these were regions which was under the control of many people. Why can't we unite these regions? Why can't we unite these regions? And why can't we have a elected parliament? Why can't we have an elected parliament? Why can't we having a state controlled definite sovereignty? So why can't we have an elected parliament? Or the middle class Germans in 1848 began to think in this ways. And the large landowners or junkers in Prussia, and this was interested by, or this concept was interested, or this nation building initiative was not interested by monarch, military, large landowners. This nation building process was not interested by this nation building process was not interested by the monarch, military and large landowners, or they began to, or they tried to suppress this initiative of middle class German. They tried to suppress this initiative of middle class Germans. Then we must study what is Junkers, that is large landowners in Prussia, that is large landowners in Prussia. So these Junkers also did this in support this initiative. So we are studying about making of Germany and Italy, making of these two countries. After 1848, nationalism was connected with the democracy. Nationalism was connected with the revolution. Revolutionary people fighting in the streets, haves and have-nots, by fighting in the streets. And the monarchs, they began to make understand the people that if we are in power, we are able to make our country more bigger. The monarchs, they are able to make the people understand. That is what I am speaking. Make the people understand. And the monarchs, they began to make the people understand that if we are in power, we will control the whole Europe. We will control the whole Europe. The monarchs, they began to make in power. And if you look at the process of formation of Germany or formation of Italy, the nationalist feelings is widespread among the middle class people, but they are not interested by monarch or the military or the large landowners. And they tried to unify the German speaking regions. They tried to unify the German speaking regions from different parts of Napoleon's conquered regions. And they tried to make a parliament. They tried to make a parliament. They tried to unite different regions of Germany. They tried to make a parliament. And 18 January 1871, you must remember that year, 18 January 1871. There is a meeting which is held in the palace of Versailles. There is a meeting which is held in the palace of Versailles. And in that meeting which was happened in January 1871, the princes of the German states, representatives of the army, Prussian ministers, Chief Minister Otto von Bismarck, these are the people, they are assembled in the place called as Palace of Versailles. And they are saying that Kaiser William I of Russia will be the new German ruler. Or they are trying to proclaim a person as a new German ruler. His name was Kaiser William II. I think some of you have sat in my class. When I taught Nazism, I usually spoke about this Kaiser William II, or the old ruler in Germany. Old ruler in Germany. Some of you have sat in my class. I think you remember about the Kaiser William II. This is Kaiser William. This is Kaiser William first, and the next one is Kaiser William second. Anyway, 18 January 1871, there is a meeting which is held in the Tree Palace of Versailles. It's a hall with unheated hall, and all the princes states of German states, the representatives of the army, and the chief minister of Otto and Bismarck, and they are gathered in this palace of Versailles, and they are proclaiming a person as the ruler of. They are proclaiming the person as the ruler of Germany. And in this nation building process, who is getting dominance, or which country is getting dominance in this nation building process? Who is getting dominance? Prussian state is getting dominance in this nation building process, and the new state which was formed under the leadership of Kaiser William I is giving importance towards modernizing the currency, banking, legal and judicial systems in Germany. So these are the Prussian measures created for a new country. These are the Prussian measures created for a new country in which the country must achieve to height. That is the viewpoint of these Prussian ideas regarding modernization of Germany. This is the viewpoint of Prussian ideas regarding modernization of Germany. And why does the writer say it's a nation building process? Is regarding the formation of a country, Germany. And Otto and Bismarck is the chief minister. So Prussia is getting dominance. Prussia is getting dominance. The new state, they placed dominance, or they placed more importance in modernizing the currency, banking, legal, judicial systems in Germany. So this is the viewpoint of the new states. This is the viewpoint of the new states. So here we are able to learn unification of Germany in some few words. Unification of Germany in some few words. And Kaiser William I was proclaimed as the leader of Germany. Later, Kaiser William I was proclaimed as the leader of Germany without any opposition. Without any opposition, Kaiser William I was proclaimed as the leader of the Prussian Minister Otto von Bismarck was giving and getting dominance in this system to make a new country. Next we are looking about the unification of Italy. Next we are looking the unification of Italy. And Italy has also a long history of political fragmentation. Or the language speakers, Italian language speakers, they are under the control of many dynasties. They are so Italy has also a long history of political fragmentation. Or Italy is also under the control of many political leaders. I think there is some technical issues. ഇല്ല സാറേ, കിട്ടില്ലല്ലേ? ഇല്ലേ? ഇതെന്തിനാ? ഓക്കെ. ഉഷ ടീച്ചറിൻ്റെ മോന. ഉഷ ടീച്ചറിൻ്റെ മോന. സമയമായെങ്കിൽ വേണ്ട സാറേ, അടുത്ത ആള് 10 മിനിറ്റ് ബ്രേക്കല്ലേ? ആരും സംസാരിക്കുന്നില്ല. ഹലോ അഭിജി, അഭിജി ഓടിയുണ്ട്. അഭിജയ്, switch on the cameras. Everybody please switch on your cameras. Hello, Aral, who is this? Hello, I heard some hello. Who is this? Say the name. പേര് പറയടോ. ഹലോ, can see 10C Abhijit Matthew. Right, Abhijit Matthew. Hello, how are you? How is the classes by staying in home? How is the classes by staying in home? Ah, 10C Krishna. Oh, switch on the 10C Krishna. Audio please. ഇവിടെ സാറേ, Krishna, not Alu Krishna, it's Krishna C. Nair of 10C. ഉണ്ട്. There is a person called as Krishna C. Nair. I think it end B. B ആണോ D ആ C ആണ്? അതെ. കൃഷ്ണ ആ. How are you? Your camera is not on. Your camera is not on. ആ കൃഷ്ണേ, സുഖം തന്നെ. ആ അതേ കണ്ണൊക്കെ കുറച്ച് നീ കുറച്ച് ബാക്കിലോട്ടിരിക്കും കൃഷ്ണേ, അങ്ങനെ കാണാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല. കൃഷ്ണേ, രാവിലെ എന്ത് കഴിച്ചു? വിട്ടുപോകുന്നു. ശരി. അർണബ് സുഖം തന്നെ. ശരി. Alan Biju 10A. Your audio is not. ഏറ്റവും പ്രശ്നമുണ്ടല്ലേ എല്ലായിടത്തും നമ്മുടെ. അതെ, ശരി. താങ്ക് യു. എനിവേ, താങ്ക് യു ചിൽഡ്രൻ. സീ യു ടുമോറോ.